Now, advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. And that legal beagle means it's time to check in on your money and find out what's happening on Wall Street today. Yesterday was a pretty good day. Then the markets closed and President Trump got on his Twitter account and all heck broke loose for a few minutes in there. Let's check in with Phillip Statler from Statler Financial Services and see what's going on. Phillip, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Dave. Let's just say it was a good day yesterday.
Yeah, darned hard to turn down. The Dow is now, I think, only about 800 away from its all-time record, up 217 points yesterday. S&P and NASDAQ both solidly in nosebleed territory again. Standard & Poor's up by 38. NASDAQ was up 193, almost 0.95%. And gosh golly, could it have had anything to do with NVIDIA? What do you think?
Probably so, man. It seems to be the hot topic again. But the NASDAQ also hit a new record high.
Yep. That 193 points was enough to push it up to the top. NVIDIA, it even made the nightly news on the TNV. NVIDIA reached a $4 trillion market cap yesterday, and that was big news even on the consumer press. I grabbed a chart here just for giggles, though, because $4 trillion sounds like a running ton, because you and I gave an awful lot of breath to Apple when it passed $3 trillion a couple of years ago. But Microsoft is right on NVIDIA's heels. They're worth about $3.75 trillion right now, and Apple isn't exactly chopped liver, but they're only up to about $3.2 trillion in market cap. If you're tech, you're getting fat and sassy off of this bull market, aren't you?
Well, it seems to be shifting that way again. For a little while, it was a little bit of a challenging market with all the tariff talks, but now it seems like they have definitely recovered.
Absolutely, and NVIDIA leading the parade. Like we said, the big headline news that everybody was talking about yesterday is NVIDIA suddenly worth $4 trillion in market cap. We're actually going to get into earnings season today for one day and then get a couple of days off. We actually do have some reports, but we missed it yesterday afternoon. I didn't realize it was even on my calendar. They released the minutes from last month's Federal Reserve Open Market Committee meeting. And it wasn't a big surprise, but basically it confirmed what you and I have been kind of suspecting. Almost nobody wanted to see an interest rate cut next meeting, but they did have two advocating it. On the other side of the fence from the minutes yesterday, they've got a pretty solid majority saying that we can expect an interest rate cut, quote, later on in the year, which is kind of making the odds makers up in Chicago make it a slam dunk for September. Not sure what's going to be happening by then with inflation and tariffs and whatnot, but we seem to have a little bit of clarity as to where the Federal Reserve's brains are going.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of interesting that, and rightly so. I think July is a good month to skip. They don't meet again probably till they probably take August off. So September will be the next hiking or cutting meeting. So what's going to be interesting though is between now and then, because Dave, that's in terms of Fed meetings, that's a long time.
It absolutely
now
is.
And then.
We don't skip a lot of months. In 60 days, a lot can change. The good news is we won't have quite as much of President Trump campaigning to get Jay Powell shot if there's no Fed meeting in between there. So we might actually have relative peace in the valley on that front. You think there's any chance of that?
I doubt it.
At least by September, we'll have a picture as to what the tariffs look like if we don't move the deadline back again. When I mentioned all heck broke loose at the end of the market day yesterday, right at the end of the day yesterday, after the market closed, a whole bunch more tariff letters went out from President Trump. Most of them were from relatively small potatoes trading partners. Philippines was the biggest one of the bunch that went out during the day. They're like number 30 on our list of trading partners. But then as soon as the market closed, he sent one off to Brazil, where we get a pile of our coffee. And I might add one of our biggest competitors on soybeans, too, threatening a 50% tariff increase on Brazil. And I kind of saw the futures go, oh, shucks, and kind of dropped like a rock for a little while and then had to recover during the evening hours.
Well, that and I think I saw where Brazil was going to fight back and
Mm-hmm.
and increase the tariffs on our stuff. And so I'm not so sure. They're getting into a match there to see what happens.
So we're not done with the drama yet. The interesting reports out. You'd seen this, and I did too, coming up across the top of one of my web pages. We are the third best state in the nation to do business. Who's number one?
North Carolina. North Carolina,
Da-da-da-da.
number one. And I found it interesting. Texas was number two.
Mm-hmm.
But it came to economy. Florida has the number one economy. Texas has the number two economy. And then they flip on employees having a labor force. But here's the deal that hurt us: hurricanes, insurance costs, and the cost of living. Our cost of living out of 50 states, we're the 48th. Not good.
Ooh.
And Texas
Ooh.
is 49th.
Ooh.
And
I guess all
Texas,
those real estate booms haven't helped us in one measurement anyway, have they?
yeah, in Texas, it's crime is hurting them. So those are kind of the factors that kept us in Texas out of becoming number one.
And when you think about success breeds demand increase, and demand increase drives prices up. Sometimes you're the victim of your own success, aren't you?
That's true. That can happen. And
Besides, I have no desire whatsoever to pay housing prices in Miami. I like it here.
oh, definitely better here.
Even if I like the Miami crime rate, I wouldn't want to pay the property values there. And I complain enough about the property values around here. So we're number three, and I'm just waiting to hear what Governor DeSantis is going to do to try to counteract that. And I'm wondering whether or not he's going to be thinking about some sort of insurance legislation, because that was the one thing you can actually do some control on, right?
Yeah, they've tried that in the past, and I'm not sure how well that's really worked. It's driven more insurers out of the state than helped us, I think.
Well, that plus the homeowners insurance fix they put through a couple of years ago, it screwed us in the middle of the state by basically insisting on a full pool statewide. So our homeowners insurance went through the roof in order to control the prices for the people on the coast.
Yep. Yep.
Which kind of made me want to start a Central Florida mutual homeowners insurance company. We're only going to do people in Highlands, Glades, and Polk County. Anybody else, go fish. And if the governor doesn't like it, he can go fish too. I don't like what happened to my homeowners. Other tidbits out there: the CEO of X, Twitter, whatever the heck you want to call it, stepped down after Elon Musk's AI bot said some really indiscreet stuff about Hitler the other day, and then came back and said, I was trying to be sarcastic. Just what we need, an AI chat bot that gets sarcastic. We really need that, don't we?
Yeah, and I don't think so. I think we got enough sarcasm out here now.
Mostly out of me, I suspect. Earnings season begins, and we got kind of a tale of two cities here. Delta's up, Conagra's going down. What's happening out there anyway?
I don't really have much on Conagra, but Delta, man, earlier this year, they basically revoked all their guidance. Said, it's just a lot of uncertainty. We're not sure what's going to happen. But this last quarter, ended up being a pretty good deal for them. They actually ended up in pretty good shape. They beat on earnings by about 5 cents a share, came in at $2.10. Revenue ahead of expectations as well. Not as good as last year, but still better than expected. And here's what they said: that they are the front of the plane, the expensive seats, have gone up in price and are staying full. Basically, they're doing well there. The
Hmm.
back of the plane, they're not quite as well. Those sales are down about 5%. And so that's, and less is happening. They're seeing people book closer to the times that they're going to fly instead of planning out and buying tickets well in advance. So they're having to juggle some things with what's happening to them now. But I tell you, it had them up over 10% earlier today, and right now it looks like they're up about 12%.
Wow.
Yeah, about 12% before we get trading today.
And to explain that a little bit, you mentioned at the beginning they pulled their guidance, and that cost them a lot on share price. But even when you're recovering from a slump, you start seeing 10, 12% increases. That's enough to make you sit up and take notice.
Yeah, absolutely. A nice bump for Delta. And of course, that's affecting all the other airlines as well because they're all getting a big bump today.
Cool, take that happily. Yeah, you and I were both looking for the specifics on ConAgra, the big agribusiness conglomerate. The one thing I got is that they'd said that tariffs were going to cream their profit margins for the rest of the year, and I know that's sending their stock down, but we haven't seen any of the specifics as far as how they do it. Folks that don't recognize the ConAgra name, probably about a third of the microwavable food products that you buy for TV dinners and the like in the stores are manufactured by subsidiaries of ConAgra, and they got a whole bunch of other stuff involved too on the agribusiness front. So this is not a small company. It's just not as much of a household name as one would think.
Yeah, exactly. So, but hey, they do produce a lot of food.
Oh yeah, they got their fingers in a lot of our lifestyles. Resetting the table, up day yesterday on Wall Street. Are we recovering and holding on to those gains this morning, Phillip?
Unfortunately, Dave, it's looking red right now across the board. The Dow's down almost 0.2%. The S&P 500 is down a tenth, and the Nasdaq 100 is down 0.05% right now. Not much there. So, but on the other side of the coin, we've got some green ink there. Silver bouncing back today up 1.3%, crossed back over 37 to $37.10 an ounce. Gold's up about 0.4. Crude oil's down almost 1% this morning, still about in the range it was yesterday, $67.75 a barrel.
Okay, I'll take it happily. Looking across the ponds, Asia and Europe generally pleased this morning overall. Japan was off, but everybody else was green around the Asian rim this morning, and the European markets are generally optimistic too. They must be saying, everything's going to change before those tariffs hit anyway. We're just going to buy some. So the average European index up by about 0.33% halfway through their trading day. Turning my retirement dreams into retirement plans takes some data and knowing where the risk and the fees are in my retirement portfolio. How do I find you to find those things, Phillip?
Then give us a call 863-382-0037, where we'll spend a half hour helping with their retirement needs and retirement planning questions that they may have. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m. and 95.3 FM.
And at newstalk730am.com. Thank you much, my friend. We will catch you tomorrow and see how the day shakes out. Fair enough?
Fair enough, buddy. Have a great day.
Thank you. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly doesn't. With fears of a potential recession and partisan...
And silliness abounds for the rest of the day.